I'm live. Oh goodness, we're trying something live. Because I got all my lights set up. I'm out of wine, but I had. Oh, there's a sip. But I've got some wine. So hey, just trying to see who's watching. Is anybody going to jump on? That would be so cool if people were on and asking me questions. I would love that. But barring that, I just got to ramble on, I guess, because hey, I'm trying to up my game. I feel kind of like a hypocrite because I do all these Walk of Fames and I do all these stars, and some of them are even modern, and I haven't seen like the movies that I'm talking about, so I feel like a hypocrite. So the perfect example is I just recently did Spencer Tracy, where I'm not a hypocrite because I've seen a handful of his movies. So I guess he's Coming to Dinner Very Young, which is his last picture ever. It's a mad, 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 mad world. I'd seen Katharine Hepburn. Hi, is somebody there? Hey, I'm talking movies. So if you have any questions, let me know. I'm talking about Spencer Tracy. But I had never seen his two Oscar-winning movies. He was the first actor ever, Spencer Tracy, to win Oscar Best Actor back-to-back. First was Captain's Courageous, based on a Rudyard Kipling novel. And it's a seafaring movie. He plays a Portuguese fella. And this rich kid they rescue, and sort of like a man of the earth or man of the sea, I should say, with this kid. And it's really good. So I got that he got the Oscar. Second one, the very next year, was Boys Town, which is Father Flannery, I think I said that right. Boys Town is in Omaha, Nebraska. And I'm from Lincoln, Nebraska. So crazy that I've never been to Boys Town. It's a Catholic home for wayward boys. And that movie's really bad. It's really cheesy. And Mickey Rooney's in it. He plays a really rotten, wayward boy from Lincoln, Nebraska, the big, even though it's in Omaha, which is the big city. And I looked it up, and it's a totally fictional story because I guess he's super, super nice. Father of the Bride. I've never seen Father of the Bride. So yeah, I mean, Spencer Tracy made so many movies. I don't care that I haven't seen all of them, but you dislike Boys Town. Isn't that nice that you're saying it like that? It's not a good movie. The best part of the movie is Spencer Tracy. So I still enjoyed watching it, and it's nice to see that there were bad movies back then. It's just weird that he won the Oscar the year after it because he gives a much better performance in Captain's Courageous. I did Jamie Foxx recently, and I never saw Ray. So I fixed that. Right away. And he's super good and did such a great job. And that's a lovely Academy. So, biopics are so big, and I'm getting kind of tired of them, I have to say, is my take. So Full Drawn, you disliked Boys Town. Did you? Yeah, it's good to know. Well, it's not a great movie. Not a bad watch, though. Never going to see it again. It's cheesy. It's but it's and Mickey Rooney's fun. But as a biopic, Ray is really good because it's artistic. It uses some cinematic elements to it. There's a new trend in films to look more like films and be more artistic and not so damn realistic, because some of these biopics look like documentaries and they're kind of boring. So I thought as a biopic, it's one of my favorites, Ray. And they're not afraid about making him look bad when he was bad. And, and they don't dwell on some things when you read the history. Because I'm such a history buff. When I see a movie like this, I have to see the real history. I just know Ray Charles' songs, but I really knew nothing about him. So yeah, that was my Ray thing. I wrote some down. Quinn Martin. I did Quinn Martin. And when I was growing up, Streets of San Francisco, I would watch because I thought San Francisco was really cool as a TV show. I think you can watch all of these on YouTube. And my best friend's been watching Canon religiously. She's like, I'm so sick of all the crap TV that's out. Even the good crap TV that's not crap, that's actually really good. She goes, it's just sometimes too good and too polished. And she said, I kind of like some good old-fashioned fiction. And she's obsessed with Canon and in love with William Conrad. And I remember watching it as a kid. And she's like, there's a fat joke in every episode. She goes, people were rotten back in the 70s. She goes, but, whatever, he's fat. So back then, too, fat people knew they were fat. And they didn't have to say, yeah, I know I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying things like that. Yeah, so that's Quinn Martin. And I think you can watch those on YouTube. I wonder what she's watching them on. Maybe she's got one of those old TV networks, but I think it's YouTube because a lot of that's out there. I did, when I did Anime Wong, I did watch Daughter of the Dragon, which is a movie she was in with Sessue Hayakawa, who I also did Sessue Hayakawa. I'm actually talking about people that I've done on my Walk of Fame channel because I've been watching lots of movies and lots of Oscar winners. And I'm not going to talk about those unless people start asking me questions. Are you guys still watching me? That's kind of cool. I guess you find me interesting enough. I guess also to let you all know that I love researching about these stars, and then I love I can't watch a movie without researching it, see how it did box office, like seeing if I'm crazy, seeing the trends in films. So here's one without looking at my notes that I had never seen a Mary Pickford picture, and she was the second Oscar winner ever for Best Actress in 2930, I think it was. They would do 2 years for Coquette, and I watched it on the YouTube here on YouTube, and it had Spanish subtitles, which was very weird and kind of distracting. But and then somebody wrote "terrible actress" is the only quote. I hate all these comments on things, like to say something like "terrible actress." What does that mean? She was one of the biggest stars ever. I guess there's huge stars that are terrible actors, but I guess terrible is a little harsh of a word. I just can't abide by that. But Coquette was a play. It was really racy, even back then. And I researched it because I'm obsessed, and they edited it. It was too racy, the play, because theater was the pendulum swings, people, in as far as it's crazy how racy theater was in the 20s. And Mae West was arrested, for God's sake, for writing a play. We went to prison, and it was some of the biggest publicity for her, and made her a star as a playwright with her salacious plays. But Coquette is so awesome to watch because it's so groundbreaking, because she was a star for being the girl with the curl and cutesy pootsy. And thanks, Full Drawn. I'll finish this thought and then I'll answer your question. But she was a huge star. She always played little girls because she was a little wee woman, tiny woman. And so she cut her hair off when her mom died, and all the women were doing bobs. So Coquette's it's a modern piece in the 20s, and she's not great in it. And but talkies were all brand new, and there's some really bad lighting because it's this all new technique. When the picture debuted on Radio City Music Hall, the sound didn't work. And she does weird stuff where there's still some silent movie techniques that are almost thrown in there to throw a bone to the people that are going, I don't like these talking pictures. They're weird and they'll never catch on. So historically speaking, it's an amazing film to watch. And there's some really good acting in it, despite the bad acting in it. And this life is really harsh. What's my favorite Walk of Fame episode? That's easy. Full Drawn. Sorry for leaning over, but I got to unharshen this light. Come on, there. Ooh, blue, red. Look at that. That's too blue. Wait, where is that? There we go. It's too harsh. Why won't it go down? Okay, so my favorite Walk of Fame episode, is definitely Dr. Seuss, because I wrote it all in Dr. Seuss verse. So if you're going to watch one, I don't know if you're a huge fan and you've watched all of them religiously and fall asleep to them or something, because there's a lot. It's crazy how many there are. Dr. Seuss, I just loved, I had to memorize it because it was all done in a poem, like a Dr. Seuss book. And Steve, my cinematographer, I just said, we'll just do it real quick. And he goes, no, we have to do it all up. So I guess Steve might be my favorite cinematographer. They're all my favorite because anybody that donates their time and energy are my favorite people. So I love them all. But Steve has kind of gone into the battlefield with things like Dr. Seuss. He made me do you can see it. Everybody's Game, though. And I've had some people that have only done one that's, I want to film one. And I don't like to waste anybody's time. And, I always make sure I feed my crew, buy them lunch, breakfast, at least a cup of coffee. Sometimes they say no. So, but Steve Lewis is one of my oldest friends. And so I'll just give him a shout out that way because he also shot that episode. And that's one of my favorite episodes. But I love you all. I love you, Selena and Janelle and Lindsay and Katerina and Ed and Ari, anybody that's shot a Walk of Fame, Rob, there's more. I'm trying to do shout outs to everybody. The Westmores, Christiana Benson. That's one of my favorite episodes too, the Westmores, because the actual great granddaughter is she of the Westmores were a makeup dynasty. So there's that. So great. That's the answer to that question. If you have any more, please answer or ask, excuse me. Frederick March was the other one. I've never seen Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, his first Oscar. And his second Oscar was which was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, by the way, was a Westmores movie, the makeup team. And now I'm noticing their names at the end of movies. I think Bette Davis only would use Westmores, for example. She's a big one. But Frederick March, I watched The Best Years of Our Lives, which is another groundbreaking after World War II movie. It was his second Oscar win. It's an ensemble piece. Steve Cochran has a bit part in it, who I have done, who had a scandalous life and a very handsome dude. He was in that movie. So I reference other people too that I noticed that Steve Cochran mostly was a TV actor. Just had small parts in movies, never really was a movie star. But damn, was he handsome, for example. So I watched that movie. Super groundbreaking. It was written on I think the Hollywood screenwriters started writing it when World War II on D-Day, and it's about three different gentlemen from three different backgrounds, socioeconomic. Definitely, one's well-to-do, one's middle class, and one's quite poor, and it deals with them all coming back after World War II. And I just learned so much watching this. The sets in the Frederick March's wealthy apartment, it's almost like they moved to an apartment during it, but it's a very fancy building in Cleveland, Ohio, I think is where it takes place. It's somewhere like that, or Indiana. I'm from Nebraska, so the Midwest. But the sets are all really small, as if they're like on location. And I went, wow, they couldn't really get a camera in there. Did they build those sets? Because it looks like a real apartment, and they did it on purpose. And it was really against Hollywood motion picture making. They wanted the claustrophobia of these guys being out on the war field, the front of the war, the arena, they say, of war. That's the word I was looking for. And they wanted it to be claustrophobic because it felt like they didn't belong and they'd seen so much. And that was the set designer. So it was a really big deal, and I noticed it. So that's really cool. So that's bio was most surprised. Okay, that's a great question. Thanks, Folderon, for being my huge audience member. Every single star, there's something that I didn't know about them. Like, I just did Samuel L. Jackson, and Selena, who I adore, filmed for me, and she quit filming to look it up. She didn't believe me. And he's the highest grossing actor of our time, Samuel L. Jackson. So, so Samuel L. Jackson, I go, yeah, he was in Pulp Fiction, and that's like all I've ever seen him in. And then I started reading his filmography. I go, oh no, I've seen him in like 20 things. Like, wow. Not a fan of the first, second, and third Star Wars, which were the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth one film. I didn't like that Jar Jar Binks one, and I didn't see any more. And I totally forgot Samuel L. Jackson was in it, so I actually saw that too. He was in all three of those, I'm pretty sure. Of course I've seen him in, I'm like, oh duh, I guess I've seen him in almost 9 movies with the Marvel Universe. Crazy. So, some of the bios, like Spade Cooley was definitely the most surprising. So look that one up. He's the only accused murderer that has a star on the Walk of Fame. And the murder, I had to tame it down because I didn't want to talk. It's grotesque. He murdered his wife in front of his daughter. So that's really all you need to say. And he was a huge country star. And I listened to a bunch of his music, and I have some friends that are rockabilly, country western. And I mean country western. He's from the 50s, fans. And they're like, oh, love his album. Such a shame. Always hate playing his songs, but they're so good. So crazy. So Spade Cooley would go down as the craziest bio, definitely. But every single one that I do, especially when I choose to do some new ones, which the first time I did was Amy Adams was my first star. And that was modern. And one of my friends, shall be nameless, was just like, ew, too soon, like that she got a star. But that's the trend now. The Walk of Fame is trying to stay relevant by our society today in the year 2020 loves to talk about people that is in the know. There's posthumous stars indeed, but people are blown away that Carrie Fisher doesn't have a star. People that was the number one blown away. Like, you should do Carrie Fisher. You should do Carrie Fisher. She just died. It's like, she doesn't have a star. And I did an episode on people that don't have stars. Cause there's a bunch of Julia Roberts, George Lucas, Denzel Washington, George Clooney, Mick Jagger. So all these people that should have stars that don't have stars. So that's really cool. So that was my talk for today. I mentioned everything that I wrote down. I've been watching tons of movies just as a movie buff. Like, I watched Platoon. So don't know if Charlie Sheen has a star. Thought it was very odd he wasn't nominated for Best Actor because he's really freaking good in it. Willem Dafoe and Tom Berenger. I think I'm saying that actor right. I've got so many names in my head. Both were nominated for Best Supporting, and they were fantastic. Neither of them won, but oftentimes when two people are nominated for the same picture, they cancel each other out. Woof. And I have done some Oscar stars like Katharine Hepburn and Barbara Streisand for being the only two women that have tied. I'm waiting for a tie in our lifetime. That would be so cool and so deserving because there's so many great actors out there. It's sad to just give one statue. So how cool would it be if we had more ties? So which of the walk are the most personal? Oh, absolutely easy. Gilda Radner. And Gilda Radner is really interesting. I've always worried about, I don't do a lot of, I've done Henry Mancini and Motley Crue, which are extremely different. And you have to use the music, of course. And I'm always afraid of them silencing them because I don't have the rights. But what I've understood from music people is that please like and subscribe and get 1 million of your friends to follow me so I can make this my living. I'd love to make this my living and do all the stars and do them up and get, better cameras and all that good stuff. But I've heard that if I start monetizing my videos, that when you do Henry Mancini, all the money will go to his estate. And if I do Motley Crue, if anybody clicks on it, they'll get the money because I'm using all of their songs, which is great. I don't care. I mean, Motley Crue, I'm not a huge fan of Motley Crue, but I appreciate their music. And as far as that style of music goes, I think they're great. So they should have the rights to their songs. I'm 100% for that. But Gilda Radner is my personal favorite. Saturday Night Live, I was alive for it. I was actually too young for it. I am young enough to go, it was when it first came out. But I was around during the Gilda Radner era, and she made me want to be an actor, and her comedy and, that original cast. So I did Gilda Radner, and it was silenced because I used her Broadway song, and it's a Warner Brothers property. So I know not to use Warner Brothers now. And she's not known for her singing or even that album. It was a great outro if you could have seen the original. But I just redid it without her singing. And it's brand new. It's like 4 or 5 episodes ago. So Gilda Radner is the most personal. Thank you, Ian. That's Ian. That's Ian Gard. I didn't recognize your... I can't see. Cool. Thanks for watching Gilda. And thanks for watching this. This is crazy. I just thought it's something I'd try. So, and are there any you haven't done yet? There's over 2,500 stars. I read somewhere there's 2,900, and that's not true. So there are sites that are wrong, and I have made some mistakes, and people bite my ass for it. But what stars have I, if you're asking, so there's tons of stars I haven't done. I guess the biggest one right now that I'm working on, and I've done some research, is the Barrymores are the biggest family to have stars. Lionel, the brothers and sisters, Lionel, John, and Ethel. John is Drew's grandfather. And then there's John Drew Barrymore, who has a star, probably one of the most undeserving stars out there, because he kind of was a ne'er-do-well and is only famous because he's a Barrymore. That's Drew's father, who they were completely estranged. So, and then Drew Barrymore. So those 5. And then one of the Barrymores, I think it was John, was married to Dolores Costello or Helene Costello, both actors of the time. Actors. So that's one that I haven't done, because one of my goals is to do all of the fun facts on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and I'm running out. I've done them all. So that's the biggest one that I have not done, are the Barrymores, because it takes some doing, and I want to do them right. So I want to put them all in the right eras. So it'll be a 3-day shoot, and I'll shoot other stars with them. So the Barrymores are another people that I haven't seen. So I've been watching a couple. Lionel Barrymore's in Captain's Courageous with Spencer Tracy, and he's really great. He was in Grand Hotel along with his brother John Barrymore, which is weird. Brothers are not playing brothers. And they don't look a lot alike. I think John was the baby. I mean, John was the baby. I know that. But so they look a lot different. And Lionel Barrymore plays the dying guy in Grand Hotel. And I'd never seen Greta Garbo. So I haven't done her, but I saw that movie. Joan Crawford, fun fact of Grand Hotel. It's the only Best Picture ever to win Best Picture that was its only nomination. There were no other nominations for that movie, but Best Picture, and it won. No actors, no directors, no sound, no design, which is beautiful, like art design. So that's wild. Only picture ever nominated for only one category and won Best Picture. So there we have it. If anybody has any more questions, please jump in, because I am going to sign off for those that are watching this late. But that's my catching up on Hollywood. I mean, I have a lot to do. There's a bunch of stars I've done which shall be nameless that I've seen none of their work. And it's a shame. And I meant to right away, but I have changed my behavior, and I'm out there watching pictures. During the pandemic, I got really sick of watching episodic television. It's a different beast than movies. Movies are better. I'm going to just throw that out there. They're better in a storytelling sense. They give you a beginning and a middle and an end. So they give you a satisfying evening. Even if it's a movie like Boys Town, that's not great, that I say I never need to see that again. It's a kind of crappy picture. At least it's over. If you watch a crappy TV series and it has a very unsatisfying ending, and people get up in arms of things like the Game of Thrones, which I won't give away for those that I'm going to watch that finally. But I didn't care that the last episode was highly mediocre. The wrap up wasn't great on it. That's all I'll say. I agree, but I'm not going to storm the Bastille over that show. Everything else was great up until the end. There was a season I didn't care for as much, but there's that. So, interesting about the Saturday Night Live gang. I think Dan Aykroyd has a star. I have to research that, because he legit became a movie star, was in some really good movies. And, but it's definitely the people that have passed away. Gilda Radner and John Belushi have a star. Strangely, Jane Curtin doesn't, and she deserves it because, she was on Third Rock from the Sun, and Kate and Allie. So she was, a star, groundbreaking Saturday Night Live, one of the original cast members, and then in 2 really successful sitcoms. So she deserves a star big time over everybody else from that cast. But no, Jane Curtin, Lorraine Newman, Bill Murray does not have a star, and he deserves one big time. And he's one of my favorites. So I would have definitely done him, but I think he's one of them that has passed on it too. I think I might've touched on that. Out of all of Saturday Night Live, Melissa McCarthy, I think, has a star. I know that Will Ferrell does, and Amy Poehler does. Don't think Tina Fey does. I'd have to double check, but she's totally deserving with her writing and on Saturday Night Live. And of course, 30 Rock, 30 Rock. Oh my God. Weird. Third Rock from the Sun, 30 Rock. Crazy. Coincidence? I don't think so. Adam Sandler, I think, has a star. He should. And I think Chris Farley does. So people that pass away tend to, that of course pass away young and tragically, tend to get stars, period. So, the Carrie Fisher oversight, people are picketing for her to get a star. And, the Star Wars fans And, she's from an acting dynasty. Her mom has 2 stars, Debbie Reynolds, and Eddie Fisher, of course, has a star. And I did Eddie Fisher. Oh my God, I can just talk for hours on that about looping star after star after star. So, yeah, that's a great question. And I think I answered it. Oh, I did Lorne Michaels. Lorne Michaels has a star, who is the producer of Saturday Night Live. He only left it after the original cast and he came back to it. And so watch that Walk of Fame, because I do a whole riff on all of my favorite Saturday Night Live stars. Not even my favorite, everybody's favorites, the tops. So I think that's actually one of my favorite episodes too, because Saturday Night Live is a huge thing. Bernadette Peters is one of my favorite actors ever. And I did her, singer, musicals, love her. So yeah. All right. So thanks, Ian. And thanks, Fooled Ron. You fooled me, Ron. My 2 watchers. And so I'm done. Love you. Thanks for watching. And for all my fans, I hope a lot of people watch this, and I hope it's not too long. I have no idea how long it was, but it's done now. I will see you next week in Hollywood. Bye.